Welcome back. You're watching Business Unusual. It is Mama, I Made It Friday. And I tell you, our guest can certainly look at his mama and say, Mama, I made it. He is Wandile Mabaso, head chef and owner of the Creatifs Restaurant, which is just outside of Stanton, Bryanston area, right?
Yeah, it's in Bryanston on Hobart Grove Centre.
Now, what's quite interesting is that you also have a mixologist.
Yes.
Tell us what a mixologist does and why it was important for you to include that as part of the offering.
Yeah, so, I mean, when we look at the whole offering, we look at something called gastronomy. So gastronomy is the word means, it comes from the French, obviously, but it means the art of eating and drinking. You know, so that includes, obviously, the sommeliers that we had that have chosen wines, and our mixologist, Begi Kumalo, which is very interesting because I met him at a competition that he won. So I was one of the judges. Not that I'm a good mixologist, but obviously they brought me there for flavor and just to taste flavors and give an opinion. And this was a national competition and he won. And this was about a year ago. And from there we exchanged numbers. I told him we need to work together. And when Le Creatifs came up, he was part of the team. And he's now literally, you know, instead of mixing your regular cocktails, he's putting a story behind it, you know. He's putting stories behind it that nobody has done. For example, you know, he would make a chakalaka cocktail, and people were like, chakalaka cocktail.
I think I'd be one of those people who looks at that and wonders how the combination of chakalaka and cocktail would be.
But the thing is, you know, it's all about understanding the flavors. And when you understand chakalaka, you know that it's a spicy thing. So, you know, it's all about then balancing the flavors. If you're going to go spicy, you need some sweetness to balance it. So you
like
get the sweet and spicy.
Like a chai tea, for example. The same concept behind a chai tea.
Exactly.
Perhaps?
And the techniques that are used that he does, so we try and support him in a sense where we put techniques that we use in creating our food for him to create cocktails. The balancing in flavors and textures that we use in our food now is putting that in his cocktail, whereas he would make the chakalaka and freeze it and then put it in a strainer, take it out and let it melt. So the liquid that melts down is the liquid that he would then mix onto the cocktail. So I think it's really creativity at its utmost. I honestly don't see any other restaurant in the continent that's as creative as us at the moment.
The way you're describing the mixologist and his process, it almost brings to mind the process of, you know, getting oil, you know, essential oils when you are manufacturing or you're creating a perfume, about, you know, distilling it to the essence, and all you have is a tone or a note, and that then forms the base.
Definitely. You know, I think it's really phenomenal. And like I said, you know, with the mixologist as well, with the food as well, for us it's exciting to discover such things. You know, imagine if we had a set menu that we always stuck to and did this year in, year out. There's no excitement. There's no pushing the boundaries. There's no setting trends for other youngsters that are in the industry to follow and aspire to. So it's phenomenal.
So apart from the sommelier, you've got a mixologist, but you also have a sous chef.
Yes.
Why and what is the role of a sous chef in this type of institution?
Yeah, so, I mean, the word chef also is a French word, and it literally means boss, you know. So you can be a chef du bureau, that's a chef, that's a boss in the office, or you can be a chef de cuisine, that's a chef in the kitchen. And the word sous, which is S-O-U-S, means under. So he's the deputy, he's under myself. So our sous chef is Charles Monsiwa, so he's been with me for about 2 years, right after I got back from France. And for the last 2 years, he's been working closely with me, where I've been training him as well in some of the stuff that I'd learned in my travels. And he got the philosophy right, so he's literally your right-hand man. You know, as I sit here talking to you, the restaurant is fully booked and is operating, and he's literally taking care of everything that's happening right now. So he's literally your deputy or your right-hand man.
As far as your cuisine and the variety in your menu, yes, there's a lot of European, there's a bit of French influence therein, but anything African or inspired by the continent itself?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I believe that cooking should be something that comes from within. It should be an expression, and obviously you can see it in our food and our plating. We're always trying to express something. And for me, having worked in places like Miami, I've worked with Cuban chefs, Haitian chefs, Jamaican chefs. New York, I've worked with Thai chefs, Korean, Japanese, and Mexican, you know, to a point where I can make Mexican food like a Mexican grandmother because I've been taught by those guys how to make it. So, and I'm South African from Soweto, you know, so all of those elements are a part of me. And that's why you pick up a lot of things from around the world, concepts, flavors, textures around the world. And yes, there's a lot of South African style of food in it. I wouldn't say cuisine per se, because I don't think that we do have a specific cuisine or a refined cuisine. But there's a lot of South African stuff. I mean, we make ice cream from sorghum, you know, from amabele, as we know it, where we actually ferment it ourselves for 2 months. And something like amabele is something that I cannot stand. You know, even the smell put me off when I was a kid. But, you know, we tame it so well that it comes out so beautiful, you know. And even now we've got a dessert that has porridge in it, you know, like a porridge custard, for example. So there's lots of concepts. Even we use samp at one point. I had samp, which replaced the boro rice in a risotto. So we had a samp risotto.
Oh, wow,
you know?
that sounds amazing.
No, it's phenomenal. But I try not to focus too much on reinventing South African cuisine yet. I think I'm still relatively young as a chef, and I think that's where the career will lead in probably the last part of my career.
Let's move from the creative into the business. What is the current turnover for the Creatifs?
Well, I mean, we've opened in August, so we've been open for about 4 months. What's great is that after opening, we didn't have to inject any money into the business. So the business right away was literally running itself, you know, which is very unusual for the restaurant scene. Some restaurants pump money in every month, at least for the first 2 years, you know, so we're already making a profit. The turnover in a month, in a good month, I mean, you would have just under $1 million, which is good for a 40-seater and for a business that has about 22 employees. So it's doing quite well, but I think the reason why it's doing well is because of the concept that we've actually put in. There's a lot of finer details that are within the business, the menu design, you know, how to make money from food, how to make money from drinks as well, you know, how to attract the right clientele who's going to come and literally spend that money.
And how do you do that? How do you attract the right clientele? What was your strategy?
So, I mean, the places where I've worked overseas, literally for the best restaurants, 3-star Michelin. I mean, in Paris where I worked, it's sitting right now as the 3rd most expensive restaurant in the world, you know. We've cooked for Jay-Z, presidents, ministers, you know, so it was obvious that my target market is the high-end people, is literally the 1% of the country. Because those are the ones that like that opulent style of eating, you know.
But how do you get them to even know about you?
Yeah, so when I came back, I mean, I had to align myself with the right people, people that are in the luxury industry, because obviously that 1% would be in that luxury industry as well. And we started curating dinners, for example, like Louis XIII, which is a cognac, which is 50,000 Rand a bottle, 100-year-old cognac. And we started doing those Louis XIII dinners, and those people are clients, so those are high-end people. And you start networking from one person to another, and it's referrals, word of mouth, and you keep inviting them, you do internal marketing for them, you know, simple as WhatsApp dishes that we are making to show this is what we have, you know, and then they would literally come up. So you end up having this whole network of the high-end clients that we've accumulated in a space of 2 years, and then we create the space for them, because Le Creative is created for them, basically. Everything is opulence, is attention to detail, it's beautiful, it's luxury, but decent luxury, not that...
And I think what's very clear is the fact that you've had the strategy right from the beginning and making sure that it's a holistic experience that you give to them. We wish you all the best with Le Creatifs. I'm sure we'll be popping by to come in and sample some of your cuisine, and maybe that sorghum
Yeah, the sorghum ice cream, yes.
The sorghum ice cream. I'm not promising.
But we've taken it off the menu. Like I said, it changes every week.
Yeah, I wasn't promising. I just thought it was quite interesting. But thank you so much for your time and for sharing your amazing story that has taken you around the globe and then back home. That was Wandile Mabaso, head chef and owner at Le Creatifs. Well, it is a wrap from Business Unusual for today. Looking forward to next week. We'll be bringing you more business news as well as sector insights. And this always happens between 1 and 2 p.m.